Feed me. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more. Feed me more.
The Ryback Show starts now.
Welcome to the Ryback Show. I am your host, the big guy Ryback. Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. Streaming live on Instagram and TikTok. I did a little double shift there looking at myself on all the cameras. Triple shift, actually. I've got cameras all around here as we're streaming everywhere. Here on Ryback TV on YouTube, guys, where you guys are the co-host of this show. You can join us live in the mornings, early afternoon, later mornings, here Monday through Thursday on the Ryback Show. On here, super chats are greatly appreciated. The ebb and flow of the show goes where your questions goes, guys. On that, we are on Twitch at Ryback Rules as well, live streaming, and also on Twitter at Ryback over there. Freedom of speech and freedom of reach. We're going to continue. We're going to continue to stay hungry on that and talk about all that until we get that account fixed and can move on to getting everything else fixed and moving forward with everything. iTunes reviews are greatly appreciated. If you guys got a moment, you listen to this show, thank you to all of our audio listeners. We are moving up the audio. I think we're like at 97 in the top 100, which is always nice, but that's just for the audio with that. But like I said, if we could take all the listens that we get across all the platforms, we're a top podcast for the wrestling podcast. I want to get that. It reflects though on the audio. The audio is important on that, and that helps with different sponsorships and advertisements on the audio as well that we've got all programmed in. So I always want to plug the audio on this show, but the show cannot function without the live aspect of this and doing your questions and letting you join the show live each and every Monday through Thursday that we do this. So thank you guys very much for the love and support on that. This show is brought to you by Feed Me More Nutrition, my premium supplement line sweetened with stevia and monk fruit. No harmful artificial sweeteners or colors for all people, men and women, he, she, and thee on feedmemore.com. We're doing the text message deal today like it was yesterday for the email. 30% off. I'm giving you guys a discount here on YouTube till midnight Pacific. Everybody can save 30% off your merch orders. The Feed Me More, the Truth Always Wins, the South Park Ryback, the Only Gains. That's super popular. When I wear the Only Gains stuff and the tank tops into the gym, people notice that one right away. People love the Only Gains. It's our best-selling merch on there. Check that out. All the Feed Me More, all the Hungry merch, and the best supplements on the planet. Discount code HUNGRY30, HUNGRY30, 30% off your order. Get your orders in, guys, before midnight Pacific tonight for that deal to go through. Welcome to everybody. Let's get into the chat. What do we got going on? How comfortable were you in WWE? Beyond comfortable. Wrestling is honestly, and wrestling is so easy to me. And it wasn't always easy to me. I always thought it was going to be easy based off of and then doing it. And I had to get over some mental things from my first year in that style of training. And there's a lot of negativity and overcame all of it. Wrestling now is honestly, to me, it's too easy. Then the hardest part of wrestling is conditioning. And that's easy because I do it so much. And I took that away years ago, as far as letting that ever be an issue for me, ever, and anything with it. So I feel very comfortable in a wrestling. I never freak out, nothing. I was more comfortable in WWE than I ever was in developmental or anything, because I figured who I was as a human being, and it really, with everything, all the reading and the learning, and just at peace in many ways, and that just continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. I thoroughly believe I could get dropped into the middle of the ring and function full force at any point in time. Promo, match, anything. Like, I'm that confident with it, and I'm looking forward to backing that up at some point in time and making adjustments as we go along. But I was very comfortable. We've got a super chat. Yeah, rest in peace. Let me pull it up here. Fat ass dogs, thank you for the super chat. Rest in peace, Jerry Springer. Yeah, in the news today, Jerry Springer, who was affiliated and had done some things with WWE over the years, I believe was 79 years old and has passed away. From what I saw, and it was, I believe, related to pancreatic cancer. And I send my thoughts and prayers and condolences and positive energy, whatever phrase you want to use. Those are the ones I will use, to his family and friends. And he lived a long life, and hopefully went in peace. And never. It's always a sad day when we see celebrities or people. It's a sad day when anyone passes away, but that we all know or was a part of our lives at different times. And growing up, and I remember Jerry Springer when the show, and when those shows were all new when I was a kid, and they used to be like, some of them were more tame, and then like those shows were always on, they'd have them on at the doctor's offices or the dentist. They'd always have those things. Or if you stayed home from school, those shows, you would see shows that you didn't normally see because you'd be at school all the time, or that you only saw during the summer or something. And then the show, obviously they went the route they went with the more over the top route, and the chaotic stuff, which I think Justin Roberts was even on Jerry Springer, and played one of the roles, and they were paid actors, the people, to go along, and it was wild. But he was, I think he was the first one to do that with that, and it was a reflection of how chaotic and how crazy our society has become, and so naturally that tied in, in him and being an entertainment, and it was an easy layup, to do stuff with the WWE. Those things, have a lot of similarities in a lot of way from what he was doing. And so yeah, Jerry Springer though has passed away, dead at 79, and it's seems like a lot of people, man. The last few years, it seems, I don't know why, it just seems like more people have passed away. Sorry, I messed up the camera there on TikTok a little. More people have passed away the last few years than, but I mean, it just seems that way with social media, the way that it is. I'm sure it's no different. Hello. Have I ever taken steroids? Yeah, when I was younger, from pro hormones started. That was natural, innocently. GNC sold it to me. Didn't know anything about it because I played baseball. The Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa stuff was starting. They sold me some bottles of Andro. I had some money. I was at the mall, the GNC at the Meadows Mall in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is still there. Remember it very well. And did some pro hormones, not even knowing that those were essentially steroids. Those were sold over the counter, and then did a trying to think how many actual cycles of steroids from around 20 to 24. And there was a period, I'm talking like maybe 4 or 5 total, nothing like, not nowhere, like, and very mild, very, like, my first one was, I think, just testosterone, and gained like 45 pounds, and not like blew up. Remember Jay Cutler, the bodybuilder, would see me at the gym, and he goes, this is before I ever did anything. And I was like 240 naturally, and I'd gotten up heavier than that. I was like 250 something, 260 naturally, and I'd cut down and looked really, really good, and never had touched anything. And Jay he'd go, you have the genetics to be a pro bodybuilder, and I go, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. And I've always told that Jay Cutler has met 2 wrestlers in his life that he said have very promising careers in pro bodybuilding, and went on to have pretty good pro wrestling careers. And it was John Cena and me. Jay, last time I saw him, it's been a bit, but he reminded me, he goes, the 2 guys I meet that I tell should be bodybuilders go make it and become pro wrestlers. So that's cool when a guy like that, who obviously, I don't agree with the drug usage or anything, but I like Jay, and he's very business savvy, and he's very motivational, and you can't knock the hustle. And I still appreciate everything that anyone does to reach the top in any profession, and will never discredit that kind of stuff. I just am not a fan of the rampant drug use of all that and whatnot. And then I had to go on TRT, and I went like a year and a half without doing anything from 20 to 24. And it wasn't like it was very mild, but I got into it. And then WWE had the drug testing stopped completely. And I was one of the only people whose body did not change. Why did my body not change? Because I never abused them to begin with, and I had a fantastic base naturally that I built up from working out since I was a kid till I got to around 20 years old, whatever it was, almost 21. And And but unfortunately, low testosterone after those and the beginning ones, and not having like post-cycle therapy after the pro hormones in my first cycle of testosterone. And I've talked about that. And the guy that I was supposed to get it from, I knew I was supposed to do it. I paid the money to get it. And the guy was a drug dealer and get skipped town. He disappeared. He worked at Gold's Gym, and that's where I got hooked on it. The guy was at the gym, working at the gym that I worked at. And he would always talk about how if I did it, I could be the greatest. Like, you just bought into it. Because Jay's telling me that, I'm like, well, man, maybe I should look into this if I want. All these people are doing it and becoming successful. And Triple H came into the gym with Nash and Stephanie during the Olympia. And I talked about, this is actually what played a big part of me deciding to do it, was I heard them talking about steroids. And I always watched him, and he was one of my favorites growing up, Hunter and Nash in that. And then I go, man, and they looked absolutely unreal. I just remember at that time. And I go, oh, that's what I have to do to become a wrestler. Like, I just go, that's just what. And then I saw like Eddie Guerrero came in. I think it was Eddie and Benoit. They were in town for WWE when I was working at Gold's, and I just remember them. They were in there, and they looked absolutely unreal. And then I just go, that's just what I guess you have to do. But it's not what you have to do. But it was an adolescent mindset and not having enough information at hand, and then letting other people's decisions or insecurities for their reasons for doing it, letting it become mine. And unfortunately, though, like I said, been on TRT, HRT since 28 pretty much. And I hadn't done them for like 4 or 5 years. And at 28, had blood work done and got some labs, and everything came back, and I was in shock. And I didn't even know. I didn't have any symptoms or anything. And they go, no, you need to be on TRT. There's no, and I mean, it wasn't like just a split really quick. There were multiple tests, and like, it's just, unfortunately, some people can do one thing in their body. It shuts down your natural production, and it never bounces back to what it was with it. And, but I have no issues. I know I'm healthy. I'm normal. And, it's once a week. It's so simple. Stay in the high mid-normal range. And that comes down as the week goes on, but it stays in the normal range. And, but that's why I've always been very upfront and honest about that. And I guess, like, I think it's important, especially because a lot of people don't understand, though, like, me on TRT and not on TRT are almost identical. It's a very minute difference, but there's a huge difference in like energy levels and how I feel with that. And just overall, like, motivation is better, having healthy testosterone levels. And it's very unhealthy to have low testosterone levels. Makes your bones weaker. It's not good with that. So, but I think it's important for people. It's essentially, it's the closest to being natural, but you're not natural because you are taking an outside source of testosterone. But it is through a board certified physician, through your doctor. It's monitored. You're not taking a dosage that will put you at a advantage over somebody with normal testosterone levels, essentially, right? And that's where I think that like things like UFC, they're really missing the boat. They need, because WWE has the TRT usage policy in the drug testing with that, and you got to go through there. You got to get checked all the time, and like, it's, if you do it properly, it's healthy, and it's like, most people probably need to be on it there, believe it or not. And a lot of them, as they figure out the sleep schedule and the stress, their test levels start crashing on the road over time. Guys that have never ever touched anything, it's because of the lifestyle and the job. So it's I knew right away. And when I was at 28, I go, this is just going to eliminate one less thing of worrying about stress and all that and low test levels, and just be normal with it. But if you look the way that I look and you work the way that I work, and you always were big to begin with, you're always going to have people that are going to doubt or be skeptical. I've always just been honest and upfront. I'll tell you guys, if I started taking stuff, I would talk about it. I would have no problem just saying, I added that in, and I'm doing this, and but I would never ever, and I don't have any intention or need or desire, because health is always my number one priority. And health, and when you do this stuff outside of just TRT, HRT, you're now messing with your health, and it's not worth it. It's not worth it one bit. And why? Like, how much bigger do I need to get? How much, you know what I mean? You learn to be happy. And that's where, like, a lot of, A lot of people in the fitness world, they may look like they have it all together, but they're usually the weakest, most fragile people mentally. And that's not saying everyone, but the majority of them are with it. And that's where I did a lot over the years. And I used to be more insecure about my body when I was younger, and things that I've just become more comfortable with as time goes on. And you learn to, like, everyone has little things and little twerks and insecurities and things for whatever reason, stem from childhood, you know, like with things. I always, I used to always like have my clothes off when I was a kid and go around shirtless everywhere in tank tops. And somewhere along the line, I don't remember exactly, but I think one summer I was eating more junk. And I bet you this is probably, if I had to like dive into like, where did it change where you got a little more covered up over the years? It was probably somebody making fun of, like, I put on some body fat for the first time one summer from eating a lot, eating chips out by the pool, drinking sodas, didn't know. It was still very active, still looked good, but I wasn't as in shape as I had been. And all it probably took is just someone saying, "Hey, fatty," or "Hey," and then could have just been like, "Oh, I'm going to wear a shirt here," whatever. But it's crazy because wrestling, I have zero insecurities. Wrestling, I could wear trunks, anything. Like, I'm completely. But it's like if I'm in everyday life, I wear the baggy clothes. But I actually have my tank tops. I am wearing my tank tops again, like around, and just wearing tank tops during the day after I do the show. And I've because my arm, everything is back too. Because I got a little self-conscious after the injuries on the right side, because my shoulders and chest development could not stay what it was, because what it was is when you cannot stay the same physically if you're lifting 150 pounds on dumbbells and shoulders every week for years on end, and your muscle is used to that, you know what I mean? And then you all of a sudden have to really lift really, really light. You're going to naturally, things are going to come down. Luckily, I held it to where I still was very, not horribly far off for what I went through at all. I think the biggest drop, it was maybe at the peak 20 pounds from what I usually was, maybe right around that. And so for needing a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement and not stopping and having to stop working out, a lot of that came after the stem cells. I had to stop working out for months and just do the elliptical things that weren't going to really, just to stay healthy. And so we made it out, man. But during that time, I've had the injuries where I've had to deal with myself physically, where I don't get, for bigger people too. You see it with bodybuilders, wrestlers. You do want to try to stay true to who you are and your persona, but there's going to be times and things where you're not going to be what you were all the time, and you get sick, injuries, things happen. And I just realized, I joked about it on here probably many. I go, the big guy isn't about just body size; it's about spirit, and heart, and passion, and hunger. The big guy, big ambitions. So it's not always just tied to the physical, but a lot of people have difficulty with that. But I had to deal with it many times, and so where I'm a little more, that stuff doesn't bother me now. I see people all the time where people will make a comment on a video, even things that are, and they'll go. I've seen people too, like even on Twitter, if they're like, "Yo, bro, Ryback, man, lost all of his." I'm like sitting at 280 reading it, and I'm like, what are you talking about? People just are so odd. Like, not one person in my life, in real person, it's always, "Oh my God, you're huge." Sometimes on the videos, and like everybody can look different at different angles and different things. But I just laugh at that now, because it's just like, whereas that might have bothered me more when I was younger, or different things. It's just like, and usually the people that are saying it are the people that are nowhere close to what you are, and they just can't, they don't get it. So. Processed food, yeah, it can be good if you're certain processed foods, and there's better ones than others, and there's levels to all of it. But yeah, when you're trying to get calories and you like for certain things, but you're always best, and that's why I say rice and beans are probably the best way to, if you're bulking, adding a couple rice and bean meals to your day is one of the best things you could do to bulking up, and you're getting nutrients, and you're getting the protein, some complete protein with the beans and rice still, even in, but if even that, and you want to put some chicken or beef or whatever in it, and I would do a low fat protein with it, and pack your carbs and protein into a couple extra meals a day, you ain't going to beat that. Like that's as good as it gets. And price wise, it's probably the cheapest, depending. And there's levels you want to buy organic and stuff, but still way cheaper than buying processed foods and that have the carbs and fats, because most processed foods too are most of the time are filled with carbohydrates and fats, which you want to always separate your energy sources as much as possible. The ultimate true Tails fan, thank you for the super chat. What's better to start training, deadlifts or reps? I don't understand what training, what are deadlifts being compared to? I want to be able to answer your question, but I don't. Deadlifts, I believe, too, are a lift that most people. I was just thinking about this earlier because I some women I know, they're always like trying to go heavy on deadlifts, and like they don't do anything that warrant having to go heavy on deadlifts. And I just think that I've learned over the years, so much of this stuff is useless in real life. I don't think it's like, but you're better off. Like deadlifts can be beneficial with proper form. The problem is when everyone's ego gets involved and you start having to go heavy rather than just lifting to feel it and to feel the muscles you're trying to work and flexing and squeezing and contracting. If we keep that in mind with everything, more often than not, we're going to be amazing and great and feel great. The problems always arise when our ego gets involved and we start trying to do weight that we shouldn't be doing. And then we want to see like, oh, I've got to lift 300 pounds, or I've got to lift 400 pounds, or I've got to do 5. And then guess what? Then people can't just like we get, and I've done this on things, you get too caught up in the numbers and we think we got to keep lifting this certain number, but that's not, our priority is on the number, not actually on doing the rep properly, training the muscle, keeping the focus and the tension on the muscle that we're trying to work. And we're wasting energy and time and putting ourselves at a higher risk for injury for no reason. The only people, again, if you want to even warrant, the lifts probably shouldn't be done anyways with how at a heavy rate, like for max deadlifting and things, the risk that your body, and I'm talking like permanent risk of game over with at any one point in time. Once you realize that, and that the risk to reward weight ratio is not, it's not worth it. It's just something I go, what did that point, that lift though, if done with lower to moderate weight with proper form, is extremely beneficial, because it's just, you're not putting yourself at a weight you can't handle, and it's not putting the stress on your disc and your joints and different things. And I remember I always had aches and pains from lifting so heavy all the time, and that when I finally just realized, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, at what point do I just say, like, do I have to do it? At some point, you're not going to be able to do it. So you might as well like learn that at an early age. And it's like, but if we lift with proper form, don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Just try to get as strong as we can get with great form and not cheating at all. And I'm telling you, it makes, and it was something that I really, really have found very, very beneficial, and will look better, will feel better. And you'll be amazed at how actually strong you are and how fast your strength climbs with great form. You might have to pull back initially, but your strength will just start skyrocketing because the muscles are actually truly getting worked properly. You're not jumping from 30 pounds to 50 pounds curling, and that 50 pounds, you're not even really curling. It's just your body for the most part. The actual time under tension is so low from the cheating that's going on. Even if you think it's minimal, it's not minimal, because if you do it with completely locked out strict form and just let your bicep curl, it's a completely different ball game with it. So, but people that like compete and stuff, at least whatever little money that they're getting, it's not worth it to begin with, because those people, it's all just for promoters. Once you figure out how the world works, business and promoters, and they use humans as and could promise you a little bit of something, a little bit of fame, a little bit of money here and there, a little, and it's all just for them to make more money. And once you figure out the way of the world, and then you man, I'm telling you, it just changes. It allows you to make pure decisions more often than not. Victor says you can go heavy, just not regularly. Keep it at 5 reps minimum, and once in a while go for a record, but don't push it if you feel your form breaking. Yeah, and that's, again, though, that's with perfect form, essentially, and clean form. on that. And but it's something that doesn't happen so often for so many people, because so many people, we just go and you just start working out or you watch some videos. How many people actually really have a professional teach them how to do everything? Almost nobody with it. And these people, there's some really great trainers and things. And if you don't have any experience at all, if you know you were going to go play a sport, you wanted to start playing tennis, you'd get tennis lessons, most likely. People do, and they go, right, you'd learn a specific skill, and weight training is no different. And it has the most serious repercussions when done wrong, which a lot of people, you snap something at a young age, you probably never going to be the same. And you just banging your body out without even knowing it. And that's where lifting technique and lifting properly, learning how to breathe properly, things that a lot of people don't think about. Ryback, would you wrestle in a hot air balloon if the money was right? I'm going to take a hard no on that, my man. Hard no. But I've stopped bench pressing too. Bench pressing, and I do everything and my elbows in and for explosive power, but really slow and under tension and squeezing the muscle. And everything is really, really coming back nicely doing that. And my strength is climbing really nicely. And I feel healthy. I'm not having setbacks in the gym with like my shoulder with things. I'm in a really, really nice spot with it all. But like benching, we don't need the bench. It's not even, it's the worst thing for your shoulders. That's where a lot of shoulders, where my shoulder thing initially started. Outside, it was actually wrestling, but that benching made it worse. And when I went and broke the record, and again, maxing out and Cena's gym, went and walked in, did 500 and left, I hurt my shoulder further on it, and ended up having to get surgery shortly thereafter that, or was that after? That might have even been after the surgery, but I remember I aggravated it. Either way, it wasn't good with it. And but I didn't have proper lifting form. I lifted it. I had my elbows out. My elbows weren't tucked. The guy that was there wasn't teaching that at the time, and my fault. Then I shouldn't have been doing it. But that's what I've had myself in that environment. But like most of the time, I never once need to do like that. That stuff holds no bearing in real life most of the time in any situation that we're ever going to need it. But it's just something that people did, so people keep doing it. And you could do it with the right weight and form, and your shoulders are more protected, but the risk is always higher on bench press than anything else. And most people get too involved so many people are just concerned with the amount of weight that they lift. Like I've lifted some big ass weights and like I could care less. That honestly, I'm like, what's the most I would need to pick up in a wrestling ring? In my life, I go, that would be my training would revolve. I go, if I was wrestling, if Big Show was still wrestling, and he's 450 pounds, my workouts would consist of then with squats and having some deadlifts in there, would be working my way up with great form to something around that at some point. I wouldn't be doing the 500, 600, 700. No need. Stupid with it. So, and even then, if you're wrestling someone, like as long as you could do it and you're safe and picking them up, you don't have to be testing it out in the gym all the time. But most of the people wrestling are on no, you're lifting around a few hundred pounds. You're not going to be wrestling get many guys over 300 pounds. So ego lifting, it is it's a real thing, and that's where you have to learn to not pay attention or worry about what other people are doing. And a lot of people are going to be making that mistakes. And, I've been strong enough and in the gym curling 120-pound dumbbells. And I was very strong with that, but I was using some momentum. It wasn't like a full blown cheat, but I was extremely strong, but it was nowhere near as beneficial that if I'm curling 25 or 30-pound dumbbells and just letting my bicep and squeeze and contracting and just letting my bicep with as almost close to perfect form as possible, my arm looks better and is getting a better workout with that 25 to 30 pounds. on it. And I can still go work my way up and get my form and still go do that. But I'm not actually, what are you training? You're just putting yourself at a higher risk of getting injured, and you're not really curling, because I could not curl that 120 pounds with perfect form. I could not hold that weight down on my arm and just let my bicep try to bring it up. I couldn't. There's no way. But you put a little swing in there, your elbow gets a little under, and then you could get that top portion. You get that top portion with not perfect form. And you're like, oh, I'm the man. Look at me, how big and strong I am. Oh, that girl, she's going home with me after the gym today. That never happens. Dudes come up, bro, you curl 120? My man. Can I put that on my TikTok? I've already got it on mine, bro. Thanks. I shouldn't say that about the gym. That did happen to me actually in McDonough, Georgia once. I take that back. It did happen once. But it wasn't because of the 120-pound curls, but I was in a tank top looking good. And a hot fitness girl in there was looking really good. McDonough, Georgia, that was a good time. Just give the big guy a second. Just having flashbacks. Good times. Good times. Thank you for allowing me that quick break. I am 41. Thank you. Rosemary, I'm pretty sure you're the same person that brought up the sleep apnea removing my, was it? Hold on. Yeah, I'm not getting anything removed right now for my sleep apnea. I'm not, we've talked about that not long ago. So I don't know why, because I'm pretty sure it's not another random person asking exactly the same question as prior. I've heard that it's not good to be jealous of other people's happiness, among other things, but talking about it makes you feel better. Yeah, I think it's one thing. It's a lot of people have that issue, and it's just learning to become aware of it, and when you catch yourself, maybe in correcting it, and that's all you could do, and do your best to try to feel good in other people's happiness or success or things that make them happy, right? But it's oftentimes, human race is very selfish, and it's very just by nature, just human nature, the way that it is. And social media can make things worse with people, and right, that's where you just got to focus on what you're doing. And typically, when we're happy with everything that we got going on, and I always tell people, like, it's a good thing to practice. Like, just pretend you've got $5 billion in your bank account. Like, really, truly, genuinely put yourself in the moment of like that you believe you have $5 billion in the bank, and think about the things that you would do and what you would like plan and go buy, or you would want to buy family or things to make their lives better. Put yourself genuinely in that moment. And really, if you could actually truly do that and really feel having $5 billion and that you're set for life, and that you're going to, anything that you want, like anything, like you're okay with that, you will feel a level of like, just, I feel, everyone could have different feelings, but just like a very calm, great feeling, peaceful feeling. And in that, like, if you're truly in that moment, things won't bother you, like, because you like, outside of something that money can't fix, obviously, but like, if you can get yourself just feeling good and like understanding that, and then like if you have that, and you know you're okay, and everything, you're happy in your life, and you've got everything you want, and you're doing what you want, and right, you feel good, you're less likely to get upset about other people doing good. And that is genuinely, that's not always 100% given, but it is one of the, it does play a part. So it's just like, we tend to, we can get off track and become angry or unhappy with what other people are doing. But at the end of the day, we just have to focus on what we're doing and what we're trying to build or make us happy or live our lives to the best of our ability. Thank you very much, Wyatt, for the kind words. I do not know if Roman will hold the title until just WrestleMania. We'll have to wait and see. Looking at your comments here. Hello. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Very disappointed. TikTok has been very bad the last couple days. Once again, they and I don't know what to do. I've talked to you guys about my issues on Twitter and everything, and it's on the YouTube. YouTube. I opened a chat again yesterday. Have a long email from them, and they will not acknowledge my request to speak to somebody. And I've sent in things over and over and over. And I, because all these, like the people that work for these companies, if they get back, like YouTube will have a person get back. Like they go by the book, they send you copy and paste on every response pretty much with it. And then they send the same thing every time. And like they'll dig into your analytics but they won't answer any questions. You like, if you go, can you tell me what your current relationship with WWE is? You just want to know. You guys, that we know, they can see that you guys are partners. Can you tell us anything more? Like they just can't answer anything with things. And I go, do you guys suppress channels or have shadow banning technology? They will deny it. They denied, but it's already been proven that they do have it. And they've been tied into some political stuff already in doing things. And I go, this is bad. Says like my issues are never going to be fixed by these low end people that are the first in line. Whatever they send, all they're sending is they'll send real analytics over. I go, great. Do you think a channel that's grown and that was getting millions and hundreds of thousands of views, do you think it's normal that they have videos under 1,000 for the same thing that people were once watching and are subscribing to currently still, and the numbers keep going up? Can you say how that's so low? And they can never answer, because if it's not by the book on something they can copy and paste of, they can't. And it's so bad. But TikTok, they tried to issue my account a strike a few days ago, 3-4 days ago, and I hadn't done anything. It was over an old post that they tried to hit me another. This is what they've done to me. I've told you, TikTok is the best of all the platforms. I'm seeing the most on there, but they're still hitting me constantly with things. Even when I'm not doing anything, they're going back and going to old posts. And then I got to go find it and then submit. And usually they get reversed back. But why that's even happening to begin with on really old posts is very odd. But it constantly keeps my account in a state of violating or what they think. And then I have to appeal it, or I have to find out. And but they issued me a strike. They now have a new policy where they do strikes. The video, though, had nothing wrong with it. Appealed it. It got overturned. And so the strike supposedly was removed on it. And I go, whoa, this is you guys are going to like issue strikes over like old videos on things. If your rules change in a video from 3 years ago that didn't violate any rules, now violates a certain rule with whatever. But ever since that strike thing happened that they removed, all my posts have been even lower again in the lives. Like I said, there's a big difference getting 50 to 100,000 people in here on a show, and then you get it into like only 2,000 or 3,000 see it the live in total. You're like, what's going on? And I can see when it's because the numbers are really low when it's happening, and they're just not distributing. And it's like, man, what do you do? But it's very frustrating. And it does. I need to get all this fixed. And the Twitter is going to be the big one. If can get somehow Elon to fix the account. I have a case open. They have not gotten back in days on it still. I am waiting to see if they're going to send another copy and paste, or that being a Twitter blue, if they're actually going to, like they say, have a human help me with this. And all I need to do is get my account. If I can just somehow get my account investigated and looked at by humans at Twitter, and I know for a fact, because everything they've told me and everything that's gone on and looking and seeing everything, they're going to find a lot. And Elon's talked about the coding, and the prior people, they have specific coding on specific accounts that they have to go in and actually find that, like, they're like, Jesus Christ, I know this exists. It's swear to God on my life, they're going to find a lot. And so it needs, if the Twitter thing can happen, that's going to be a major, major gateway into me getting the other stuff and getting my voice back. So I have to stay on top of that, and it's priority number one. Looking at your questions here. Let me see here. Somebody says McDonald's now has a Big Mac dipping sauce. Chicken nuggets dipped with that sounds good. I'll have to see what that's all about. Maybe that's the feeding time for tomorrow. Big Macs with the new Big Mac sauce. Even though my videos are not getting, I've switched to doing the real food reviews like we did, and they're getting less. My real food reviews, as far as, and I say real, the non-vegan, like real meat and chicken and stuff. Those videos that were getting, those used to get so many views, are now getting less views than my vegan videos got. How can it is wild. Like I got to figure it out. I got to figure it out. YouTube has told me too. They keep telling me, they've told me, they go, you cannot come here. They've literally sent me a thing, no threats to them, nothing violent, just saying I would like to come and meet with somebody in person and have a actual physical conversation, like in person, in about all of this, and voice my concerns, show my side of things that I have with this, and try to get some answers. And they no, we can't have you come here. We'll have security, the safety of our team and our people. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody's. And I literally go, can you tell me where there's been even remotely any threats of violence or threats against hurting anyone? I go, I'm asking to come have a conversation. I'm asking for a phone call. I can't get any of that. You guys, it's so weird, all of this. I go, this is wild. But I go, I'm not going to stop. At some point in time, shit's going to hit the fan. It's going to have to. And it's not going to make me look bad. I've already lived through all the worst parts of this. So just got to stay on it. Good to see all of you. Owen Williams, thank you very much, brother. Greatly appreciated. We're just going to shell shock out of here on that. I've seen you just, what a weird. I'm bald because I shave my head every other day. Do I use olive oil in your salad? Do you use olive oil in your salad, and how much? I just use a little bit of olive oil, maybe one serving, right around one serving in the morning with my eggs, my egg whites and eggs, onions, mushrooms, spinach, and a little serving, usually 2 to 4 ounces of ground bison with that, and jalapenos, fresh jalapenos cut up into it. Good to see all of you. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Hey, Jacob. Jacob says, hey, Ryback, what are your thoughts on Andrew Tate? Very interesting. I follow him on Twitter now. I saw him on Twitter like maybe a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago, and saw today he's tweeting a lot, or was, that he was having some sort of reaction to something. I don't know, man. It is very odd watching what is going on, and for them not to find anything supposedly, when you would think there would be a lot based off of how they're treating him or how they've treated him and being deplatformed. It makes you just really go, like, what is really going on here? We need to be more concerned. I'm telling, this is why I'm speaking about my stuff. We're moving to a very, very, if this is happening to people like me, people like him, it can happen to anybody. And it is happening to a lot of people for different reasons. There needs to be freedom of speech and freedom of reach. This stuff, we need this addressed. It's a huge issue. But when you look at what they've taken away from him, it's very scary. And I tell you, man, it's scary, the direction that we're going and have been going for a long time. And the older you get, the more you see just how screwed up everything actually genuinely truly is. And you know, it's like I've said, there's a lot of very good human beings on this planet, but there's a lot of bad and evil that we will never be able to reason with, or you can't debate with, you can't work with in any way. And that's where, like, love and kindness doesn't work against that. Unfortunately, it doesn't. And the greats prior to us knew that, and certain select ones. And it is, I truly believe it's going to be the only way. Like, the best chance for the human race is going to be nukes go off everywhere, and just hopefully good people survive. Like, and even that at some point in time is going to go south all over again. unless the correct system is in place to allow for a society to we couldn't do it prior. We're not going to do it with 8 to 9 billion people and growing. And I don't know what it's just not. That's why I just say thank you for each day. Do our best to live a loving, kind life to those around us. And at some point in time, it's all going away. At some point in time, it will. Hopefully it's not in our lifetimes. Hopefully, but it's coming at some point with things. It's just too many. We've gone the wrong way for too long. And when people though speak up or tell the truth and their truth and are being silenced by politicians and lobbyists and elites and different things, there's too many of them and they're too powerful. He's finding that out. And he has money and stuff that you're dealing with. He's one person. You need a team of great people to fight an army of bad people with money. And we're seeing that. Just look at all the stuff going on in the world. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, the Epstein stuff. How the fuck is that stuff not being, how? It's because it's been normalized and these people have been doing this for so long. It's like, the world is wacky and crazy, man. But we need the good people to rise up and speak up and stick together and you try to just stay around people like that as much as possible and just stay away from the other, because it's the only way to get rid of the other is through means that will put you away forever, unfortunately. This is kind of a good thing, and I'll tell you what I think. If someone says if WWE would just replace all the writers and lock Vince in a closet, the talent now would get a better storyline for themselves. No, here's what I tell you. They need all those people, and I'll tell you the problem. This is why AEW is way more appealing than WWE, because I believe AEW actually lets talents come up with storylines and things and people and then they help fill in the dots, and nothing's perfect, but at least it's like kind of talent driven with things like say MJF has been champion for another year, and MJF they want to get the title off of him, and MJF though has a way, and he goes to Tony and he goes, I really think I would like to put this person over if Tony and they go, if we do this, I have this really cool idea for 8 weeks of TV. And at the end, it's going to be to make him. And thank you very much for everything in this run. But then they work out, but it's a talent driven storyline, right? And that's just one little off the top of my head made up scenario. Anybody in the company, like Ricky Starks, can say, hey, I would really like to work with this guy and do some business or do this and that. But a big problem with this too is the pay. And I've talked about this, and not equal pay. That was a question more based off downside on a lot of things, not talking about a lot of other things, because there will never be equal pay with the different roles. But you need to have common sense and know what I was talking about, which all the talent did. A lot of them fucking marks have no fucking clue on that. Try not to cuss, and I did. Get me out talking about the marks, and I can't help it. But I think that's where if people weren't hurt on their pay by losing, because people are hurt on their pay by losing more often than not. If it gets out of hand, if they're not protected to a certain level, you're treated differently too in WWE. If you lose more, you're actually treated more like a loser in WWE if you're not winning as much by the office. Swear to God, it is. I've always just thought it was so batshit crazy on it, and I've seen it happen to so many people, and I'm just like, what is going on? They're actors. We're all actors, or physical actors going out there doing what is asked of us. But I think if so that's where I'm saying if the pay structure was more balanced in the sense that losers weren't treated like losers, they were treated as the winners that they are, and that they're playing roles to help a team win. And in the team and things get switched up and shuffled around all the time and within that team, right? With that. But if that wasn't such a big issue, more talent would have more ideas too for things and go, hey, I want to come work this guy. I want to put this guy over, because they know they're not going to be hurt by this shitty system that this man has created, where he treats people based off of how they're winning or losing, which have to go along with. That's being professional with it. And it's just absolutely insane when you break it down with that. But Vince and them they do their own thing. Vince doesn't want to, they want to push who they want to push. They want their storylines, and the talent have very little to do with that oftentimes, outside of suggestions on your top angles and different things. Your people could be more involved, but even then it's still them pretty much kind of determining the ebb and flow of the direction things are going. So that's a big problem within the organization. If the storylines were allowed, they can come up with stuff, and you in wrestlers feedback and you're allowed to go, hey, you're there, and the pay situation I've addressed, all that is taken out of the equation. You'll have people wanting to work storylines and do things and pitch different things. But a lot of times people do this. This is a thing you learn really quickly in WWE. Your creativity gets shut down pretty quickly with it. Or even if it doesn't, your time gets wasted by the more you pitch, and then they just throw it all out, or they give it to other people. And you're like, well, I'm not going to do this. They've just given the last 3 things I've given them to other people on like fuck this. And, but I agree. I think the best pro wrestling is wrestling where the wrestlers are involved in their storylines, and because I think the wrestlers are the best with that. But I do think writers and those people are beneficial into helping fill in the gaps, and to help, and when everybody knows a direction and coming up, it makes everyone's lives a lot easier. So I don't think those people are very instrumental in the process. It just sucks though when it stuff is being done and it doesn't matter. You're just being handed lines. You're not allowed to change it. This is what they want, and you're just like, well, this is what we're doing now. So. Shell Shock, thank you for playing. Looking at your questions here. What an odd thing. It's always funny to me when fans message. This happens way more than I think it would. A fan saying they have dreams that I return to WWE. I tell you that I get it multiple times a week, every week. That people say, I get it, and they'll see something. They go, I had a dream that you were. I'm just like, that's wild. But thank you, I guess, for having me in your dreams. Thank you very much for saying you enjoyed me as a bully and a nice guy. Someone says, Ryback, it's a spiritual battle, a battle of evil versus good. Yeah, it is. It is definitely a battle. It is. This is why, though, like I when I talk about freedom of speech and freedom of reach, this is a very big. Nobody's voices should be silenced because we all have different. We really need these platforms, because the platforms that's what I was talking about with Elon. He's now just censoring things based off of his views. He's doing what the other side was doing, even though they're doing other things that are more transparent. He hasn't fixed the big issues yet. And the fact that they're keeping the shadow banning, the suppressing technology, and they're just going to tell people what posts are being suppressed, we still won't know if they're suppressing other things because that technology exists. And that's where this corruption, I go, there needs to be user agreements that we force these companies to put out where this technology is done away with, and where they're not going to use it. And it is a legally binding agreement, the user agreement. That's the only way to ensure freedom of speech and freedom of reach. Now people violate the rules or posting things that warrant an account being suspended or banned, or however that is. I'm all for that within that stuff. But suppressing content should not happen. There's no reason. It happened all during the elections with different things. It's happened to me for 7 goddamn years because they're partners with an elite multi-billion-dollar corporation. And people, they wanted my social media accounts. They didn't get them. They lost everything, literally lost everything, but they are finding ways to hurt my life. And I'm trying to let people know what is going on. And I've been trying for many years. Now more people than ever are finally, I think, seeing it. But it is, I would wish this on nobody, but this is it's a very dangerous thing, and they're these people are very powerful, evil people out there, and there's a lot of other evil people, and they've all kind of combined together, and the good people do have to unite, and you have to fight back. Unfortunately, that's the only way. But that's where I say I look at my situation, and all I know what I can do is what I can control, and that's where I go. I have to get my shoulder completely game ready. I have to get back. I have to get the right connections. I have to do what I am born to fucking do, and better than fucking anybody at, and get out there and be the most intense motherfucker on the planet, like I was, and do it at a higher level. Take all that anger and turn it into positive energy once again. And then this other stuff is by a trickle effect is going to get fixed, because I've tried what I'm doing isn't working, and I've tried all different approaches with it, and they've taken it away. And I go, this is a very dangerous game. And because what Vince and them want, they want me to lose everything. They didn't think I was going to get my health back. And this, at some point in time, when they started taking this away, they go, he can only go for so long if we take it all away. It was but they didn't account for me getting my health back and having other things and other investments they didn't know about, because this shit is pretty deep and serious with it. And so they're going to lose. They know they're going to lose, but they've tried everything they can to make it as difficult as possible. And that's where I haven't budged. I go, but let's just get healthy and let's play the game. It's a game called life. Vince ain't going to be around too much longer. I can promise you that with it. And Hunter, he's found out the hard way already with karma, and he's going to continue to find out. And I feel bad for him with it, carrying on the injustices and corruption from Vince and not being any better. Hello. I'm glad I have my supplement business as well. Feed Me More Nutrition. I'm glad I have each and every one of you, and the loyal customers we have, and the people you guys. I wanted this. None of this would have been possible if I did not launch this, my passion, and do this. None of this would have been possible. And I've been very protected, and I'm very thankful for you guys. Somebody says, I'd like to see you have a channel on Rumble. That's funny. I am on Rumble. So all you got to go do is watch the shows on Rumble. Every single show is on Rumble, my man. Have you searched for it? I've literally been there. Everything is connected to YouTube that goes right to Rumble. I don't have any Rumble. I don't even know what the deal is on it, though. I have the channel. Everything just gets uploaded right to Rumble. I did, yeah. Naomi supposedly has signed with Impact Wrestling. So congratulations to Naomi and to Impact Wrestling. Naomi is an outstanding talent and great woman and wrestler, and I'm very happy she found an opportunity in a situation that was appealing to her. I don't know the length or the terms of the contract with anything, but hopefully it was a nice deal that everyone's happy with, and looking forward to seeing what she does over there. I will say I did see too that Tommy Dreamer, unfortunately, his mother has passed away, and I have not looked. I just saw it in passing quickly before doing today's show, and so condolences and to Tommy and to his family, and just I can't even imagine that. And it's going to unfortunately happen to all of us. Most likely, it's just hopefully everything's all right, and it's not all right, right? So, but Tommy was always very good to me. I like Tommy a lot. He was always he was head of talent relations. Was he head of talent relations or develop? He was essentially kind of like a boss at one point early on into wrestling. Always very good to me. He was always very complimentary. And I remember when I sharing just a quick story about Tommy Dreamer. He was a kind of saw me when I was in Deep South Wrestling when I first started, everything with Bill DeMott. And I was very early on into my development, and they had very high hopes of the company. I've told this story before. John Laurinaitis, my first year in wrestling, at Deep South Wrestling, I was just doing drills every day. I wasn't actually learning how to wrestle. I tried. They weren't letting. It was 8 hours of drills. So I wasn't getting taught how to do matches, and it was just getting the shit just kicked out of you and tired, drilled, staying in the ring, other people tagging in and out for 30, 40 minutes. Like, this is real life boot training, the stuff, and I wouldn't take any of it back. But I remember Laurinaitis was really upset because of the lack of development for matches, because they hadn't even done a match. They weren't having me do matches. So how can you know what I mean? Don't even know how to trying to learn moves, but they're just having you do drills every day for a long time. And Johnny cut a promo on me in Deep South Wrestling on how they wanted me to come in, and they wanted me to be like a Brock Lesnar, like just from come in big, huge, jacked, young, hungry, and like I had never had anyone speak to me like that in my life. And I remember being so angry because I knew deep down, I knew what was going on, and there was a lot of people there, but I happened to just be the new guy. There was me and one other guy that were new, and other people, everybody else knew how to wrestle with it. And I just took it, but I never forgot it. And I got my revenge on that later with Johnny and with everything. And when I told him I was going to be the biggest star in the company in a year, and he tried to fire me this was after the ankle stuff. And I've talked about that, and they didn't fire me. I kept my job, and then I went and did exactly as I said. Exactly 1 year from that date. And I reminded him, I go, 1 year from now, I told you this. And he just smiled. He goes, yes, you did, with it. And I love Johnny. And with that regard, like, I always had respect for him. But they had high expectations. And so Tommy saw like where I was at initially, where I was going with this. And then when I got rehired and was at FCW, Florida Championship Wrestling, and was wrestling. And this is before I got called up and had finally had gotten it, understood. And Tommy, though, I just remember he just goes to say, he just goes, you got really good. And he goes, I didn't, he goes, but he was just knew what I was in Deep South from a brief period of different times of just watching me down there and always doing good and working hard, but doing drills and not doing matches, or very basic entry level matches. And I just remember that's where I was like, man, that was really cool of him. It was really encouraging and motivating thing that he did by telling me that, because it reassured me of where I was right before going up, that I was ready, or as ready as I was going to be at that point. And it gave me extra confidence with that. And I always remember that. So I just wanted to share that Tommy story. But he was always, he's that kind of guy. He'll tell you if you suck, or, and I'm pretty sure he probably did that first year in Deep South. But man, I hope everything's all right. He's a good guy. Tommy is a good guy. And just like, take wrestling away, everything. Tommy's just a good dude. Hello. Good to see all of you. We've got some super chats on here. 1 second. You're very welcome for turning you on to Rhonda Byrne with The Secret. This helped me immensely over the years. Super chat, Savio Rodriguez. Thank you very much. He sent 179 of something. It's probably 50 cents American. Thank you, buddy. Sir, I loved your work in WWE. Hope to see you soon. Thank you very much, buddy. I greatly appreciate that. And I hope to see me too soon. Looking at your questions here. I did see the thing about their potential people possibly for the the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and saw that it's possibly Seth Rollins is someone they have in mind. And I think that would actually, I really like that. And I could see that happening. And I think there's Cody, having Cody win that right now will not be, after the things with Roman, it would be fine. But I think it, the thing with Cody and Roman, it'd be cool if they were going to do it, if they really wanted, but you want to keep them separate, so they can't revisit that because they're not going to unify the titles. I think Cody's storyline is hopefully going to be to pursue Roman. If they're going to do that, that is massive for Cody, if that is the long-term goal or vision. Or they, at some point, if he gets distanced away from the title, if he loses to Brock, and has to go through more adversity, and then they start getting him back on track again. I don't know what the storyline arc is going to be for Cody Rhodes. I'm telling you, I just be ready for the worst. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it is exactly that, and everything is smooth sailing. But it's it is what it is, and I can't control it. But he's killing it right now, making money, and hopefully happy. And I'm looking forward to his match with Brock Lesnar in Puerto Rico for WWE WrestleMania Backlash in Puerto Rico. But I think I botched the when I talked about that the WWE World Heavyweight Champion is going to be decided. It was the night of champions, end of May. Not WWE Backlash in Puerto Rico. And but I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Cody Brock. I definitely want to see that match. I want to see where this is going. I want to see how they work together. I want to see how much offense Cody's going to get. I want to see Cody, his intensity, and his selling's going to be there. There's no question. You're working Brock. Your selling is going to be, you're going to be selling those suplexes, selling that back and neck. So I want to see what kind of story they're going to tell with those two, though. Somebody says, I have the stream paused on my brother's tablet, and I'm watching it on the living room TV at home. The Ryback Show, coming to you live every week on televisions near you. I wish I had that set up where on my YouTube and stuff. I have the different programs on my TV. I have YouTube on my TV and all that. I don't use it. I have before when I've pulled up the YouTube videos and stuff. It's always better watching stuff on the TV, though. But I know there's apps and stuff, but it'd be great to get stuff really quick that can just sync up on your phone, boom, and it's right on your TV ready to go. And I'm pretty sure it is. There are apps that do it, I know. I haven't done it. I don't watch this stuff enough to, and I don't want to get caught up in it too much because I like the way things are. Let's see here. Jose says, my mom said that my dad said that he wants to die an alcoholic. I wish he didn't say something so negative, but it's his choice and I can't control that. As long as, man, I tell you, man, and I don't know his situation and don't know, but there's a lot of people that drink and that are completely functional. And I say, as long as you can live your life and it doesn't hurt things in a negative way, you're not becoming violent, you're not drinking and driving, you're not, if people that work all day and they come home, and I know a beautiful Latina woman that has a family and she's awesome. And I dated her many years ago for a while, and she smoking hot. She likes her tequila, and she drinks it at night when most nights on it, and she works a job. She's fine. Hasn't hurt her at all. She stays in good shape, great shape with it, and but it's her relief, and it makes her have something to unwind at night after working and making dinner for her family and kids. And and I always look at things and just try not to be judgmental. Our world creates things and says things are problems for people so they could sell them solutions too. My thing is, if there's levels to everything in life. There's people that could drink that live completely normal, healthy lives, that live old age and don't have any negative side effects from it. And then others, more severe things could have liver disease or things. But even then, most of them make it pretty far with that. It's just like, I just don't, if people want to drink, if your dad, as long as he's, if he's not acting in negative ways or things, if it's just at home and that's just what he enjoys, it's like, maybe try to change the viewpoint on how you're looking at it. Like, hey, that makes my dad happy. He's just saying, he doesn't want to give up alcohol. And I'm just speculating based off it sound, and he says he wants to die being an alcoholic. So I'm assuming he drinks most days, if not every day with it. And I don't know the level or what he's drinking or whatnot, but it's, if he's happy with it and everything else is in place, and it's just, that's just one thing, like, that's just what he likes with it. And there's nothing, like, I think if we just learn to, like, who's he hurting? He's not, even if he's not, I don't know. There's just people that like it, and I love it. And I haven't drank it now in months, but I love the way it makes me feel when I do it. I think alcohol's awesome with it. But I think you have to know how to control it. And that's where you have to know how to control yourself. You can't be drinking and go hopping in your car, making bad decisions. And I learned that at a very early age and was very blessed and protected, and then that's with anything. It's moderation. It's weed. There's one thing in knowing, and like, I didn't know the different sativa and indica. And when I smoked when I was younger, indica, it makes me heavy. It knocks me out, makes you lethargic, unmotivated with that. It's like, it's not beneficial to do. If I was going to smoke, it's not beneficial for me to smoke indica unless I'm doing it to go to bed with that. And then it's used as a tool that's very efficient, that's being done very strategically, and boom, and being used to my advantage. And then like sativa, people use it, can be more motivating and more focus and energy if you do it right. And again, there's levels to all of it. But like, there's people that just are living their life that are just smoking all day, sleeping, lying down. They're just not being productive, and they're smoking indica. They don't even know that they're hurting themselves, right? There's levels to everything. It's knowing it, like, so, it's water, drinking too much water. If we just keep, if I'm just on here, just drinking 10 of these on here, you're like, Jesus, Ryback's pounding that water today. And then you read that I've been hospitalized because I drank 15 things of water really quickly. And, like, you could die from that. Like, there's just, so it's anything that we do, there's levels to all that. But I just try to, like, look at things like, if he's not going to stop, he doesn't want to stop, or he doesn't want to adjust, and I don't know. Like, it's one thing if he's getting really hammered and doing bad things, saying bad things, you know what I mean? Then there's a problem with that. But if it's, nothing's being hurt, and my neighbor, when I was a kid, he was always drinking beer. He was the nicest guy in the world. He built us a fence because their dog, something happened. He built a fence in a matter of days. I was so impressed. He must have put back. I was out there helping with it as a kid, but he just kept drinking and drinking, and he was happier and happier. That guy, he was very nice. I never once ever, but the guy always had a beer in his hand. Always. He knew, but he controlled it. He wasn't doing hard liquor all day. He was doing beer. And he wasn't pounding him. He was just enjoying them. And I go, but there's other things too. If you're doing it, if you care about your body, and he didn't look horrible, but he wasn't a peak physical athlete. You don't want to be doing that every day like that anyway. So, but we could talk about that stuff forever though. It's all levels. There's levels to everything. Do I prefer mushrooms in my burgers or your pizza? I love mushrooms. Both, man. Both. I'll tell you what, I love sauteed mushrooms with steak. Grill some mushrooms with the steak in there. Oh man, some portobello mushrooms. If I go out and eat and they have mushrooms, and they usually do, I get them. Sometimes they have a nice like mushroom sauce with it too. God. Here, take my money. Appreciate everybody joining me. We are being suppressed on TikTok. I apologized. Again, no violations have occurred in quite some time now, and they continue to really, really limit things. Looking at your questions here, guys. Thank you for joining the Ryback Show. Bring my dogs to WWE. No traveling for Sophie or little guy. I would never bring my dogs to TV in any way. Excuse me. I wouldn't, even in Vegas, there would be, even if I had like a family member or somebody with a friend that went with me, I wouldn't bring my dogs to TV. I've never been big on anything. I don't like bringing, I never brought people to the shows. My family would come to the shows in Vegas and they just sit out there. I'd never bring them backstage. I don't want that. I don't want them around that environment. I don't want to have to worry about what's going on. I am laser focused and I am very efficient on making my life as stress free as possible in as many ways. And this stuff is just all how I think. Break it down. Like I see people bring all their family to WrestleMania. I go, you can't concentrate on what you're doing fully when you start doing this stuff. It's like, and this is my theory on being hungry. I really believe you have to have things in place. You have to make sure you're with the right person. You like when people, it happens to everybody almost that do this when they're not with the right person. And it happens a lot. Is athletes or fighters or people, their performance declines because they're not as hungry as what they once were, or if they are still hungry, they have not structured their lives in a way that their focus could be on what it needs to be to do things at the level that they once were. So when people start having like a family and kids, their priorities and their time gets taken away from them, right? Because you have to be a parent, you have to take your time is now going in energy to something different. Whereas if you're not and you're younger, and this typically with younger people tend to be more focused, they don't have money, there are things, the hunger is more, and so the work ethic is more. This is why I'm so big on the power of being hungry. And you have to, if your situation changes or things, you have money, you could still be just as hungry with money as without money. The thing is, you just have to make sure your story matches your drive, and like you have to keep finding new challenges and new things. And it doesn't even matter if you lie to yourself, just make up stuff that you're doing this for this. And that's why I've still kept my training. I'll tell myself, and like with events, I'm like, I'm getting ready for that event. And I have my conditioning where I think I'm getting ready for that event. I know I'm not doing that event, but I tell myself I'm getting ready for that event because it allows me to keep that hunger on my training and my drive, so that I don't let up and get late. I go, I'm good. I got money. I've got things. I'll be fine. I'll just turn it on whenever. No, you can't. You got to keep it on. You got to keep pushing with that. And that's the power of being hungry, that hashtag hungry. That's why, like with Connor and everything with the fighting, he's still great and amazing, but his responsibilities have been with his business and everything is getting stretched in so many different directions. If you're drinking all the time or you're not, that's fine. Always, but like, you can't expect your results to be what they were when you were struggling and didn't have the kids and all the other distractions, right? It's a real thing with it. You could have all the best people in the world. You can have the best training tools. But if that your focus is not what it once was for the time that it was, and the experience of the other things and things aren't matching up, like it could lead to less results on that. And that's why I'm really interested in the story of him and seeing what he's going to do if he's able to come back and to still keep putting that effort in, because that is the toughest thing to do it in with the hunger levels and that pay structure of what they've done over there. So let's see here. Somebody says, what's the story of the writer who has filed a lawsuit accusing Vince McMahon of racism? I briefly saw that yesterday, and I don't know who the writer is. I don't know if I was there while they were there. I read a part of the thing. It seemed pretty, just from what I saw, it seems like a lawsuit is pretty ridiculous. Because you got to understand when you're in the creative side of things, you're pitching ideas. You guys are talking about all kinds of things. Things will come out of left field all the time with that, and sometimes like it's like, yes, that's something, and then but like there'll be things that are being discussed. I think that's a silly thing, and that I just think that person who, if it was a woman, that maybe her views, and you have to remember, I can always speak on things, even though I have my issues with it, like that. I'm telling you how things and ideas and creative, that I know how things work enough where I'm like, maybe she just has different views on things, and she's a little more conservative, and doesn't, not, her creativity is different than with their creativity, and she had differing viewpoints, and think that sounds like more of a personal issue, and that maybe she just probably should have just left. Like, she just maybe should have left and gone and worked somewhere else. I think that personally is kind of, that is something that doesn't seem like that's what you, for a lawsuit. That's a little, I don't know everything. I just saw what I saw on the thing, though. That sounds more like there's someone that's just looking to sue on that, and that there's not any real substance behind it. So, but again, don't know. And even, even if, say Vince is a racist, which I've been there, I've never personally seen anything with him that would suggest that he was. Not to say that he could or couldn't be. I've never seen or heard anything when I was there. And I think that term gets thrown around way too loosely anyways by most people. And I just don't, this doesn't seem, that's just my opinion. It just seems like a personal issue more than anything. That wasn't the right place for her to work. And if I'm saying that in the sense of like with my stuff with Vince, and like, I think that's, yeah, Endeavor is, we've talked about Endeavor buying WWE. I've talked about that on when that all happened on here on the past archives on the Ryback Show. Um, I think it's going to be a massive, massive deal, and I think UFC is going to become much more profitable, and I think the WWE is also going to become much more profitable. I think they are. It is a merging of two superpowers, and my only hope, and I've talked about this, and I wish, and I would talk to Vince and tell, this is my big disappointment in him, is I wish he took better care of the wrestlers. That he is always the he's always had that, never let the wrestlers, that mindset, never let the wrestlers know how important and valuable they are. Why not? Things would just be way better. You'd still make a ton of money, probably make even more money. But things like, there's not, like, why isn't there a better health insurance fund for wrestlers or for people post WWE that have acquired all these different things and injuries? And I paid for all my own stuff. Never once has anybody, not one person in the medical or the thing, hey, how you doing? I know you needed a 5-disc fusion and shoulder replacement from working here. Are you okay? And I've never once said, poor me. I just fixed myself. I just found a way. I knew I had to get out of that environment. The drugs you're giving me is going to completely destroy me. I have to fix myself along with my other problems I had with them. But that was a really big one. But you would think, hey, thank you for your time and for devoting your body and everything for the entertainment of everyone. Or hey, how you doing? How's everything? Are you okay? Nothing. This is nothing from the medical, anything. And so you just see what it is with it. And that's my big disappointment with them, that they don't actually truly cherish and value the workers like they should. And that's one of the things I'm really happy with AEW. And I feel, in the things I've heard about Tony Khan, is the big difference. I don't care about much else outside of that alone makes that way more intriguing, that they go, that sounds like a human being. They have all the money in the world, but they value human beings. They value the health of people and the things. It just seems, it's a healthier, that is a reflection too of the environment and other things. That's why things are typically, you hear more positive or better or could be with things. And that's a reflection from the top down. But that's my big disappointment, in Vince, and not in Hunter too. With that is, it's such a old school, carny, outdated, silly thing. But they tried, and this is what with UFC, they underpay people, and they are whoring out human lives, and they Vince created and bought all the competition where people had no voice or no leverage in the contracts and negotiating better deals. WWE always would tell you don't have agents, don't have they would literally, it was known, and that was bred into us in developmental, not to have agents. They won't, you will get fired at some point. And I've seen people that before they ever got up there that like tried to have concerns or questions on things, they just let them go on it, and you're just like, whoa, with it. And so that's the environment they breed, where you just here, take what we give you, and like it's really messed up, man. But that's why I talked about all this. So people getting into the business now, there's other options. It's not as bad as there, and hopefully they clean up some of this stuff over time. But it's most of the people there aren't going to talk about it, if not any, because so many people are scared. That's how their only way they make their income on things, and it is what it is. The WWE stuff, no, a lot of that, as far as all that, you figure out once you're there. It's not stuff that before none of us were aware of. They do that in developmental too. They breed fear into developmental talents through different things, and the trainers and the people they have, and they will have them just subtly kind of teach them things that behavior wise, so they don't ask questions. You got a talent that's going up, and Hunter, they offer a deal to, and he comes back down to NXT, and Sean just says, hey, just go along with it, just go along with it. What are you probably going to just go along with it rather, because he's telling you, but then you got to, it makes it very difficult. You can't, and it's where it's just odd. There's all this stuff. And that's why I fought for that. And that's why I won. I knew the truth, though, and but that's why they're trying to silence me, and have silenced me with it, is because they want to ruin the reputation. I think if you listen to me, I'm not an idiot. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I'm far from it with it, but I have common sense and decency on that, and then I don't like bad people. I never have, and it's one of the most disappointing things when you were expecting it to be a little different. And you've heard how many others talk about it, and the ones that don't are just afraid and just avoid it. Hello. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Guys, I'm going to have to, I don't want this show. We'll do one more super chat. I don't know why I'm getting a low battery. Everything is hardwired here, plugged in. Hulk says not to target anyone specifically, but do you feel some of the Hall of Fame inductees have veered towards the Hall of Nostalgia? Some people who are getting in are very questionable, in my opinion. I think everyone's going to have their opinions on different. I think it depends on it's physical acting. Everything's open to interpretation, and what you like isn't what everybody likes. And so you have to remember there's people of different styles and different things that are going in on things that maybe you weren't a fan of, but other people are a fan of. And I think it's just realizing that's the one thing that's the biggest problem with fans and marks and is more so marks that argue, and marks I use in a word for negative people in general. It's just negative wrestling fans with that. Because being an obsessed, positive, good fan you just love it. You're happy with it. That's not a problem. It's the negative, hateful ones and that argue but they don't understand, and don't respect all the different styles or the different attributes that talent have and strengths and things and that people bring in, and qualities that make a pro wrestler. Because being a pro wrestler is not just doing moves. It's just a little small part of the whole process with it. And it's so, but it's like the acrobatic wrestling. I just saw another video, and I'm going to veer off on this for a second, but I think everyone that's going into the Hall of Fame, they're chosen. It's their Hall of Fame. Why, brother? You're going to die. I'm going to die. Do you think that wherever we go to heaven, wherever we go, do you think that that's going to even be even remotely Do you think your soul's gonna be in like a room with other fans or marks or whoever with the Hall of Fame, and then like you guys are gonna be discussing, having debates in heaven about like who should be in the Hall of Fame? Like, it's so like, why does that even matter? It all could be gone like that with a nuke, anyways. Who cares? It's just a thing. Honor somebody while they're here or not here. People remember them, their family get to feel good about it. Like, why be upset? Or there's so much other stuff going on. There's fucking kids that can't fucking eat every day. Like, why isn't that, you know what I mean? Like, being upset, like Coco Beware or whoever, random person, somebody that you don't think should be in. Like, I'm like, why are we giving any thought to that? Like, it's pretty silly in the grand scheme of things. Somebody asked, do I act like a big tough guy when I'm out in the city or no? Oh, I peacock the hell. I have my chest, but my big lats flared out, imaginary lat syndrome, really, really all cranked up. Get myself, oh man, peacocked out, chest out, fluff up the little big guy, make sure everything's just feeling good. Now, I'm the big guy. You bow down, kiss my feet, Mark. No, I just keep my head normal, walk, do my stuff. I don't. How do you act like a big tough guy? Like, do you think I go around like shoving people on the ground? I make room for the big guy. I go to use the bathroom and the handicap stall's locked, and I rip the door off and throw the guy out because I want to just be in there because it's also the big guy's bathroom. I like a little extra shoulder space. No, I don't. That would be absolutely insane to do that. Just looking for problems. God, just what do you walk around? Just push old ladies down. Ryback rules. Like, I don't. Oops, pop that up there. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Mystery method on there. Guys, with that, we're going to wrap up today's show. We're at an hour and a half, a little over that. And always appreciate all the love and support. We'll be back on Monday for another Ryback show. Big guy takes his weekends off and got a feeding. We'll have a new feeding time video out tomorrow. So stay tuned. Please check in for the new feeding time here on Ryback TV, and check out my Feed Me More Nutrition and all the Ryback merch on feedmemore.com. Guys, you can save 30% today. Discount code HUNGRY30, HUNGRY30 on feedmemore.com until midnight Pacific to get 30% off. And yeah, that's that. Thank you again, as always. And until next time, my friends, stay hungry. Feed me more.
Hey, Rybackers, don't forget to hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and shell shock those notifications for the best supplements on the planet with Feed Me More Nutrition and all the latest cool new Ryback merch. Visit feedmemore.com.